Rise and shine, superstar. You're watching Provoking Purpose with Lele and Nsibande.
Rise and shine to all my stars and welcome back to my channel. My name is Lele Nsibande and you're watching Provoking Purpose. On this channel we speak about all things purpose, vision and personal excellence. So if that sounds like a community you'd like to be a part of, make sure that you hit that subscribe button and join the family. As promised, this is part 2 of the reality versus expectations of walking in purpose. And in this video, we are going to be unpacking how to walk in your essence, how to find your essence, what that journey looks like, and what to expect along the way. In my entire varsity experience, I honestly could say that the best advice that I ever got from a lecturer was to explore who I am, to not commit to a specific version of myself, to try new things, find out who I am, what I like, and just be free in failing and free in trying and free in exploring and not in a rush to settle into an identity. That honestly has been a roller coaster for me. And I think like just because of, I don't want to say it's because of a fire sign because I don't really believe in astrology like that, but I do see a lot of my fire passion whenever I identify with something new in my life and I just want to explore it until the ends of all that it is. And that's how I'm able to kind of decipher whether something is for me or not, just because like I actually go deep into it. I don't do things a little bit at a time. It's a good and a bad thing. Obviously nothing is ever all good or ever all bad, but I think in the instance of finding things that are part of who you are, that search for who you are in the world, it's important to have that relentlessness. It's important to go out there unafraid, be bold in trying out a different version of yourself. If you want to see if you have an inner activist, I know I went through that phase. I explored it to all that I could give. Like I was just full activism mode and I was just walking in that, trying to figure out if it is for me, and I was able to quickly conclude that it's not, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that I failed at being that. It just means that I was able to get feedback from the way that I operated in that walk and how it made me feel and how I identified with it. I was able to quickly diagnose that it's not for me, and life is long, but life is also short. And your 20s can go by like this, but they could also be, a full 10 years of life experiences. So I do think it's important to take the time to find out who you are. Always, that's like something I've always believed in, and I will always continue to believe in the fact that only you can tell you who you are. Only you can go out there and search the world and let us know what is a fit for you. And so I just want to give you some tips and tricks that could help you on that journey and make it not easier, but make you realize that you aren't alone and that your experiences aren't abnormal, if that makes any sense. Okay, so the first and most important step is to realize that you are going through a process, right? And that distillation process is going to be difficult. It is not going to be easy, and at the end of the day, it is a process. It requires time and effort and stages, ages and stages. And I think it's just very important to mentally prepare yourself for that. When I thought, okay, I'm gonna go on a quest to find myself, I genuinely thought like I would bump into myself in one moment and suddenly everything would just be revealed to me. This is who I am, this is my brand, this is what I do, this is what I don't do, this is just, the crypt notes to who I am. And honestly, it's not like that. And you would think because it's yourself, it's the easiest to kind of decipher, but the hardest person to get to know is yourself, because there's so much of you that is buried in your childhood, that is buried in your traumas, that is buried in your story and in your truth. And it takes time. Like getting to know a person in a relationship, it takes time to go back to day one. It takes bravery, it takes energy, it takes vulnerability to be able to go back into the past and reopen wounds and decipher who that wound made you and how you would like to build on that, or if you would like to even keep that version of yourself. It is a process. It is a lot of hard work, and so I just want you to mentally prepare yourself for that. there will be situations that will come into your life that will put you in a position where you've never been there before, only because you asked to be introduced to yourself. And I think like I experienced that a lot over the past few years, where I would be in such turmoil and I would just be like, but God, why? I pray for clarity, yet I'm getting turmoil. I pray for peace, yet I'm getting all this unrest. And it's like all those things are there to introduce you to what is existing within you. It's there so that you can finally look yourself in the mirror and be honest with who you are, and be honest about who you are with yourself. And so it's important to acknowledge that that process of distilling and becoming a refined version of yourself is not going to be cream of the crop. It's not going to be the cream on top of the milk that they use to make butter or something. It's not going to be the best of you all the time. Sometimes it's going to require you to do battle with the worst of you. Sometimes it's going to bring situations that will reveal to you how ugly you are inside, and how unhealed you are inside, and how that little girl inside of you is still, controlling so much of you. I remember in 2020, I had like, I don't want to say I had a vision, but I just had this mental picture that kept on coming to me of a little girl like going to a big woman and just patting her on the shoulder and just letting her know like it's okay to be a woman now. And I honestly resonated with that so much, because I felt like that was the year where I finally got a sense of release from so much of my childhood, and I didn't have to fight for the little girl inside of me constantly in my relationships, in my associations with people, and just like instances where I am with people. A lot of the time we are fighting for what our inner child needs. Sometimes it's attention, sometimes it's just recognition, sometimes it's affirmation. And just that journey to finding your higher self, or finding your truest self, is about recognizing that there are parts of you that you don't still need to protect you, now that you are a grown-up. The second step that I would say is super, super important in the process of finding your essence is trusting in yourself and listening to yourself. Genuinely listening to your emotions and your spirit when you are in situations. I think I was reading The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, and the author said your emotions give you a sense of your mental proportions and your spiritual proportions, or something like your body tells you when you are in pain to let you know that this is where you can go and this is where you can't go. And your emotions tell you the same thing about your internal environment. They give you a sense of proportion of yourself. And so it's important to listen to your boundaries, listen to what gives you peace, the sweetest peace, the deepest joy. Only you can tell you, or only you can hear you and your inner cries and what you truly, truly desire. Only you can be trusted in recognizing what those things are, because people will always project onto you. You can only trust you. You can only trust your inner voice to guide you to the place where you need to be. Everyone else is trying to figure it out for themselves. I remember Jordan Peterson once spoke about how growing up is realizing that your parents don't know any more than you do about life. They are still figuring it out just like you are. So stop relying on people to tell you what is good for you. Stop relying on people to tell you what is best for you. You need to listen to your internal environment. And if you want to truly find that person inside of you that is your truest, deepest self, you need to understand that that person is like any other person. If you were somebody's friend, you wouldn't want to be active in the relationship if your voice was always silenced. You wouldn't want to step forward and share your thoughts and ideas if they were never validated or never affirmed. So you need to understand that you need to treat yourself like somebody that you love. You need to treat yourself like somebody that you care about. And you do those things by exerting the same behavior that you would to any friend or family that you find dear to your heart. Just want to put a quick disclaimer that I'm not saying make decisions all on your own, don't consult people, because sometimes we can rationalize with ourselves and convince ourselves of stupid plans because the only people that we are talking to is ourselves. You know, it's important to consult with other people, but I think it's important to have a strength in mental character and a strength in internal character to be able to discern what information is useful to you and what information isn't. Last but not least, I learned this from a Sarah Jakes sermon, that you need to study the environment that you are looking to step into, that you are looking for your gift or your essence to step into. If you want to be a wife, you need to understand that there are parts of you that are not wifely. If you want to be a CEO, understand that there are parts of you that are not CEO worthy, right? There are parts of you that have to die to you in order for you to be able to go forward. And I just think it's very important to understand that the process of distilling requires impurities to come out of you, and that you cannot become the purest version of yourself without parts of you that are toxic and unpure or impure leaving you. And you have to do that difficult work of actually acknowledging that they are there and not trying to go, I'm beautiful, I'm perfect, I'm beautiful, I'm perfect all day, and just hoping that somehow mystically you are suddenly going to be a refined person who is just, you know, walking in the purest energy that they could walk in at that point in time. You have to do the difficult work, and you have to study and have to understand that there are parts of you that cannot go to the places where you are praying to go. There are parts of you that cannot have the things that you are praying to have. If you are financially illiterate, that version of yourself can never be a millionaire. Never be a millionaire. Maybe you could have $1 million in your bank, but that million won't even last you very long because you do not even know how to take care of that, right? You cannot pray for your territory to be increased before you are taking care of the land that is in front of you. And so I just want to encourage faithfulness, the importance of understanding that who you are in the little things is who you will be in the big things. And so the opportunity that you have in the little things is to redefine who you are in order for you to be increased to the level of what you desire. I think the biggest thing that I just want to reiterate in this video, and I think it's something I've been saying since the previous video, and maybe it's just because that's where I am right now in life, just like reiterating that to myself, that in order to go high, you're going to have to shed some weight, because it is difficult to lift a heavy load against gravity. You just have to understand that if you want to be elevated, there are parts of you that are going to have to remain on the ground, especially if they are not useful for who you are called to be up there. And so if you're feeling vulnerable, if you're feeling like I am trying to be this positive person and all I keep seeing is the worst of me, the most negative sides of me, it is not because God or the devil or whatever source you recognize is trying to remind you of how inadequate you are, or trying to remind you of how you do not have what it takes, but it's kind of just trying to show you that this is what you need to fix first. This is the problem. There are parts of you that are good enough to go up, and so the more you walk in that, the better you become at walking in it. You don't really need to exercise all your focus on that. What you do need to focus on is making sure that you cut off the cancerous cells that are going to infect the rest of your character, or remove the heavy weights that is going to keep you down on the ground. Sometimes it's people, sometimes it's habits, sometimes it's just thoughts and energies that we engage in on a regular basis. This is where I'm going to leave this video here for today. Please make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in my next one.